I checked in on, I don't know why, but I did, on Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media feed, and I got a couple things for you that are of a yikes status. So first is a video that she posted, and what we're observing is in the wake of Steve Bannon going to prison for, I think it's 3 to 4 months, there is a complete and total, what the doctors call a Maga meltdown. And so we'll take a look at that. And also on a completely unrelated topic, she posted something that is really frightening. So those two, and in between, I'll show you another Marjorie interview moment, also on the Bannon going to prison thing, and then a different MAGA person that I'm still disturbed by after watching his videos. So lots to go through. And as a reminder, before playing this, Steve Bannon, former Trump advisor, MAGA podcaster, the War Room podcast, and he is very excited because he gets to now be a martyr, and he gets to be someone who also is being taken down by the Biden regime, when in reality, as a private citizen, he defied a congressional subpoena. He could have just gone in, refused to answer any questions, and would have been fine, but he decided not to, as Congress was investigating the January 6th insurrection. And so because of that, after having his due process, after having his appeals, etc., he has to serve some prison time. Whenever you're confronted with, but a lot of other people have defied congressional subpoenas and don't go to prison, one of the main reasons is Bannon, as a private citizen, as Aaron Parnas, our legal expert, explained to us, isn't protected by executive privilege in such a situation, as many of these other examples you can cite have been. And I'll continue to say, MAGA, just don't break the law. We know, you can see it. You can see in the text of the law that it says you're not supposed to do what he did. He chose to do it. He's being held accountable. If one of you ends up going to jail for not breaking the law, then I'll have some rage like you do. But as long as you keep doing things that are against the law, obviously, plainly, it's hard for me to be that outraged that you're having to be held accountable.
Steve Bannon is headed to prison for his refusal to cooperate.
So again, this is the video that Marjorie posted. Very epic.
Steve Bannon is headed to prison for his refusal to cooperate with the January 6th Congressional Committee investigation.
I don't give two about going to Danbury prison, okay? I could care less.
Next man up. The war room's going to continue and even be bigger. They thought they were shutting the whole place down.
Now surrounded by the war room posse.
Free Bannon! Free Bannon! This is going to multiply it by 10,000.
I'm a political prisoner of Joe Biden and the corrupt Biden establishment.
The war room's hitting on all fronts.
We watch you for 4 hours a day, 4 years in a row.
I've been on the posse for years.
I'm sorry, did that woman say she's been watching, or did she say that she's been watching Bannon 4 hours a day for 4 years? Oh no, that's frightening.
You for 4 hours a day, 4 years in a row.
I've been on the posse for years.
America cannot believe what's happening.
They are protection against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. Amen. My voice is going to be heard every day. And more importantly, their voices are going to be heard, right?
We're going to take down Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and the corrupt DOJ.
We love this man right here. He's an American hero. It's a shame that you've let this happen. And they're coming for you next. You better understand that. You can throw him in jail all you want to, but we will not take a single back step.
When their voice is heard, change happens. It's only going to get bigger. And that is what the war room's all about. Right. Next man up, right? Next man up. I'm proud of going to prison.
Okay, that's enough of that. In these crazy times, if you appreciate the work that myself and my incredible team do every day to produce the show, by clicking that subscribe button, it's free, it's easy on your end, but it makes a huge difference on our end. So again, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. Back to the video. Before getting back to the other posts from Marjorie, here was her. We looked at this briefly, but here was her very upset before Bannon had to go to prison.
Merrick Garland, I'm on the Oversight Committee, Steve. We held Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. We held him in contempt of Congress. I don't see a trial for Merrick Garland. When is he going to prison? When is he reporting? Maybe are you guys going to be cellmates? I mean, this is ridiculous.
I think Matthew Graves, his U.S. attorney, said he wasn't going to prosecute him. So
right, because Matthew Graves is such a
Graves is one of the ones that sent all the people to prison on the phony charge that was Fisher that was overturned.
Matthew Graves is a feckless piece of shit. Okay, he puts grandmothers in prison. That's what a coward, slime bag, scum, maggot of a man Matthew Graves is. That's what kind of man that is. He's not even a man.
So what can we do?
So, the funny thing is, from the beginning of this, Bannon was just salivating at the idea of him being sentenced to something like this. Because he can do 4 months in prison, come out, and then he's the greatest MAGA hero. And that's why he chose to not go. You can just go, not give up any information, and move on with your life. But he decided to not show up, decided to make a whole stunt of it. And the fact that he's going to prison plays into that a lot. So that part of it's sort of sickening. But also, no, as a private citizen, you can't just refuse to comply at all with a congressional subpoena. Now, again, when it comes to being required to show up in these situations, there is some executive privilege because of how the cross-branch sort of interactions work. But other than that, it seemed pretty obvious this is where it was going to lead. But somehow he's a big victim. And Jack Posobiec, as we also talked about, just because I found this amusing, I do want to remind you of this right-wing podcaster's response.
Indoctrination. If you are not behind bars, you will be a prisoner in your own country, in your own mind, without freedom.
Okay, let me skip forward since we already watched this to the funny part.
Okay, you want to go mask off? Great. I've been waiting for this moment. You want to go mask off? I love it. I welcome it. Please, let's all go mask off. Let's all let the little mask of sanity slip and show you what this is really all about. You want to do that? Because I'm more than ready to do that. You guys know my track record.
So I guess the reason that that has been sitting with me since we did that segment is he's reading, he's doing perfectly great, a scripted monologue. So he thought about writing out that phrase. And it's so weird to imagine myself sitting and typing a monologue and going, oh, I know what I'll say. You want to let the mask of sanity slip? I've been waiting to show you my insane side. It's a weird admission that he's playing a character that comes off a little bit more reasonable, which isn't working, but he thinks he comes off more reasonable. And now he's saying, but you want to really see the raw me? It's insane. So I'm excited to let that sane mask slip. Very, very strange. And it's all coming down from the top of the, food chain, the MAGA food chain. We've talked about people pointing out that it's not super surprising that Trump ended up being a convicted felon, given that so many people before he was convicted that he surrounded himself with have been criminals for years. And you can go through the list of all these people he's worked with, all these campaign members, all these close advisors, etc. And Steve Bannon, even, on that fraud stuff he engaged in, had been convicted. And so when you have this orbit around Trump of criminals, and I'm not saying that pejoratively, I am also, but I'm also just describing them. They are criminals under the law. Not the most shocking thing that he became a convicted felon himself. But it's interesting how even given that reality, people are still able to run with the idea that it's actually the Biden regime making them look like criminals, treating all of them unfairly, and Bannon's really the hero. When before Biden even came into office, this characteristic of those that Trump surrounded himself with made itself known. And so then it heightened, or not heightened, but then it continued throughout the Biden administration. But maybe it's not the fault of Biden's DOJ, which he keeps himself separate from in these prosecutions. But maybe it's not the fault of local prosecutors that these individuals just keep breaking the law. Now, in terms of the other thing that Marjorie the Greene posted, I'll show you what she said and then Brian Glenn, her boyfriend's response. If they are sticking with the dementia robot, the election is most definitely rigged, is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Then you have Brian Glenn saying the 2024 election is officially rigged. There's no reason why this walking corpse should be the Democrat nominee. The Dems bench is weak, but not that weak. We need to understand how profoundly dangerous this is, and they're responding to reports of Biden staying in the race. Setting aside what is, as I've said, a perfectly reasonable, within the pro-democracy movement, discussion, a moment of introspection about how we can best beat Donald Trump. Is that sticking with Biden, the incumbent president, strong record, successful presidency, who clearly is having issues with his perception and candidacy, or going with someone else, less certain, unknown, not the president, doesn't have that same record, but maybe has less perception problems? That's the discussion going on within the pro-democracy movement. That is a completely different thing from this vile, disgusting nonsense. Which is to say, and we're going to hear it both ways, if Biden stays in the race and he's the nominee and he beats Trump, they're going to say, see, even the other side knew that it wasn't legitimate. That's why there was this moment of panic, and there was no way all along that Biden could beat Trump, and him beating him is proof of the election being rigged. If Biden drops and Kamala Harris, for example, beats Trump, they're going to say, they dropped their nominee super late. Kamala Harris won, who was pretty unpopular as vice president, just polling wise, and that's proof that the election was rigged. No matter what happens, it's always proof the election was rigged. The only situation where the election wasn't rigged is if Trump wins. And to me, the fact that they're saying this makes me more confident about our chances. Because why, if she really was so confident that Trump was going to defeat whoever, right now he's going to defeat Biden, in Marjorie's mind, why would you have to be laying the groundwork so far out? Oh, see, it's proof the election's rigged. Glenn's saying the 2024 election's officially rigged. Okay, so then if Trump wins, you have to say it was rigged in his favor. And it just the moral bankruptcy of being willing to put this out there, not understanding the way that this fundamentally deteriorates such a crucial belief in our elections that's justified given how secure they are. And I'll say again something that has now been a reoccurring theme. I am really mad, and I wish I were comfortable on the show saying more strong language, but I'm really mad, okay? You can translate that into other more aggressive words. That Maga is taking away the peace of mind that Americans have had for hundreds of years, that we'd see a peaceful transfer of power, that we'd see the side that loses concede. Because guess what? If Biden does concede, or let me say, if Biden does stay in the race, does lose to Trump, he's going to concede because he respects democracy. And Lord help us, I'm hoping that we won't get there. But if indeed he lost, he would concede. If any other Democrat were on the ticket, they'd concede. It's only the other side that we have the concern about. And they're taking away that piece. And so there's just an incredible amount of stress. Not just about your person winning, but about even if our person does win, what's the other side going to do? And it's just so depraved. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. If you want to get the extra episode of the show daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below. Again, that gets you extra content and it supports the work that we do.